what is humanity's purpose? For most of history, we turned to superstition for answers. Then, in 1859, Charles Darwin changed everything by discovering evolution. This video explores a compelling idea. We are machines built by our genes, which have survived millions of years in a competitive world. These genes succeed through ruthless selfishness, which usually creates selfish individuals. Yet, occasionally, genes achieve their goals by enabling limited altruism. This is about how life actually evolved. Understanding our selfish genes gives us something remarkable, the chance to choose a different path. In the beginning, simplicity reigned. Stable patterns of atoms, from salt crystals to water drops, formed through natural processes. Then, in the ancient chemical soup of early Earth, a remarkable molecule emerged by chance, the replicator. This molecule possessed the unique ability to create copies of itself, using smaller building blocks as templates. This copying wasn't always perfect. Mistakes led to new varieties, some lasting longer or replicating faster. These more stable versions naturally became more common, competing for limited resources. Over immense timescales, this competition drove increasing complexity, leading to the first survival machines, and ultimately to us. We are survival machines, but this includes all living things: animals, plants, bacteria, and viruses. The variety across species is astonishing. An octopus is nothing like a mouse, and both are completely different from an oak tree. Yet, at a fundamental chemical level, we are remarkably uniform. The replicators we carry, our genes, are the same kind of molecule in all of us: DNA. DNA works in mysterious ways. A monkey preserves genes in trees. A fish preserves them in water. And there is even a small worm that preserves genes in German beer mats. A DNA molecule is a long chain of small molecules called nucleotides, which come in only 4 types: A, T, C, and G. The sequence of these building blocks is what differs between individuals and species. Our DNA is distributed across all our cells, with each cell containing a complete copy of the body's genetic instructions. Think of these instructions as an architect's plans for building a body, written in volumes called chromosomes. DNA does 2 crucial things. It makes copies of itself, and it supervises the manufacture of proteins. Proteins form the physical fabric of our bodies and control chemical processes inside cells. This means genes control embryonic development. Their survival depends on how efficient the bodies are that they help build. Natural selection now favors genes skilled in building successful survival machines. The genes themselves are the immortals. They leap from body to body down the generations, discarding mortal forms before they decay. We are temporary vehicles, but genes are denizens of geological time. They are forever. Ever wonder how you became more than just a simple vessel for your genes? In the early days, survival machines were just passive containers. But as resources dwindled, life split into two main branches: plants, which learned to harness sunlight directly, and animals, which became active go-getters. Animals evolved muscles for rapid movement, and with that came the need for a control center, the brain. Think of your genes as distant programmers. They can't pull the strings of your every move in real time because the signals would take too long. Instead, they build a brain, a high-speed executive, and equip it with rules and strategies. This brain uses senses to gather data and memories to store past experiences. It learns, it simulates future outcomes, and it makes decisions in split seconds to keep the whole operation alive. Your genes set the ultimate goal: survive and reproduce. But your brain is the onboard computer, running the show in the moment, constantly calculating the best gamble to win the game of life. What drives animals to fight? Every survival machine views others as part of its environment, something to exploit, but with one crucial difference: other creatures fight back. They too carry immortal genes they must protect. You might expect animals to murder rivals whenever possible. Yet, actual fights often look more like formal tournaments than all-out battles. Why this restraint? The answer lies in cost-benefit calculation. Fighting carries risks, injury, wasted energy, and the possibility that eliminating one rival simply helps another. Game theory helps explain this through the concept of an evolutionarily stable strategy, or ESS. Consider two strategies: hawks that fight ruthlessly and doves that posture harmlessly. In a dove population, a single hawk dominates. But when hawks become common, they injure each other constantly, and doves start benefiting. The population stabilizes at a specific ratio where neither strategy can outperform the other. Real animals use more complex conditional strategies. Some retaliate only when attacked. Others probe before escalating. These approaches create stable patterns where aggression remains controlled. Even arbitrary factors like who arrived first can determine outcomes, leading to territorial behavior. What looks like group organization actually emerges from individual genes pursuing their own interests. What exactly is the selfish gene? It's not a single piece of DNA, but rather all copies of a particular genetic sequence distributed throughout the world. If we imagine genes having goals, a selfish gene is trying to become more numerous in the gene pool. It does this by programming the bodies it inhabits to survive and reproduce. The key insight is that a gene exists in many individuals at once. A gene might assist copies of itself sitting in other bodies. This would appear as individual altruism, but would actually be driven by gene selfishness. Consider a recessive gene like the one for albinism. Though only 1 in 20,000 people are albinos, about 1 in 70 carry the gene. Such a gene could theoretically help itself by programming bodies to behave altruistically toward other albinos, since they likely carry the same gene. Genes can promote altruism toward close relatives because relatives share copies of the same genes. The closer the relationship, the greater the probability of gene sharing. Parents share half their genes with children, as do siblings. First, cousins share 1/8. Parental care is simply a special case of kin altruism. Genetically speaking, caring for a sibling makes as much sense as caring for offspring. In nature, animals follow rules of thumb that approximate these calculations, favoring those most likely to carry their genes. People often separate caring for kids from having them. But there's a real distinction. Bringing new individuals into the world versus caring for existing ones. An animal faces two strategic decisions. First, caring. Should I feed this child? Second, bearing. Should I reproduce? These activities compete for resources. A species can't survive on caring alone. If no one reproduces, the population dies out. In nature, bearing and caring are connected, leading to confusion. From a gene's perspective, caring for a brother or son is the same. The difference is you can't bear a brother, only care for him. Controversy arises over why animals regulate birth rates. One view suggests altruistic birth control for the group's good. But a selfish gene view offers another explanation. Wild animals don't overpopulate. They don't die of old age, starvation, or predators intervene. But this doesn't require altruistic restraint. A bird laying too many eggs won't raise more chicks. Resources are limited. If a parent spreads resources too thin, fewer young survive. Individual parents optimize their birth rate for selfish reasons, to maximize their own surviving offspring, not for the public good. Overcrowding signals future famine, making it in an individual's interest to have fewer young. This explains territorial behavior and social hierarchies without invoking group selection. The welfare state is a human invention, unnatural in evolutionary terms. It allows reproduction without personal cost. An altruistic system is open to exploitation. But in nature, genes for overindulgence are simply punished when young starve. Should a mother have favorites? To answer this, we need to consider parental investment. Any cost a parent pays to benefit one child that reduces their ability to invest in others. A mother shares half her genes with each child, so genetically, she has no reason to play favorites. Her optimal strategy is investing equally in as many children as she can successfully raise. However, practical considerations matter. A runt with lower life expectancy might not be worth the same investment as stronger siblings. Older children who have already received significant resources may be weaned so the mother can invest in new offspring. But children have their own agendas. Each wants more than their fair share. This creates conflict. A mother wants to wean at a certain time. The child wants to continue nursing. Each uses whatever leverage they have. The child may scream louder. pretending greater hunger, while the mother must detect such deception. This battle extends beyond weaning. In nests, chicks compete for food, screaming to manipulate parents. Some baby cuckoos take this further, eliminating foster siblings entirely to monopolize resources. What emerges isn't a simple winner. Parents hold power through size and experience, but children possess intimate knowledge of their own needs they can exaggerate. The final outcome is a compromise, a constant evolutionary negotiation, where each side pushes for advantage while sharing enough genetic interest to prevent total warfare. If there's a lesson for humans, it's that altruism within families shouldn't be assumed. It must be cultivated, for biology alone doesn't guarantee it. Parents and children share 50% of their genes, creating natural conflict. But consider the relationship between mates who share no genes with each other. They do share a 50% genetic investment in their offspring, which gives them reason to cooperate in rearing those children. However, if one parent can invest less than their fair share, they gain resources to spend on other children with other partners. This creates a situation where each partner tries to push the other into investing more. What an individual ideally wants is to mate widely while leaving the partner to handle the childcare. In some species, males achieve this. In others, males must share the burden equally. To understand this, we must examine what defines males and females in the first place. Throughout the animal and plant kingdoms, one fundamental difference stands out. Male sex cells are much smaller and more numerous than female sex cells. Females produce large, nutrient-rich eggs, while males produce tiny, mobile sperms. This asymmetry set the stage for exploitation. A male can produce millions of sperms daily and potentially father enormous numbers of children. A female's capacity is limited by the energy she must invest in each egg. From the moment of conception, the mother has already invested more than the father. Different species show different outcomes. In some, females demand prolonged courtship before mating, testing a male's commitment. In others, females select only the most impressive males, letting them father many offspring while receiving no help with rearing. The variety of mating systems we observe, from faithful monogamy to competitive harems, reflects this ongoing balancing act between male and female interests. Have you ever wondered why animals form groups? Birds flock together, fish swim in schools, and mammals form herds. It seems cooperative on the surface, but the selfish gene theory reveals some fascinating explanations. Take the selfish herd concept. Imagine a predator always attacks the nearest prey. Each animal naturally wants to avoid being that closest individual. This creates constant movement toward the center of any gathering, with everyone trying to position themselves between others. The resultant tightly bunched groups form from purely selfish motives. What about alarm calls? When a bird spots a hawk, calling out seems altruistic since it might attract attention. But two theories explain the selfish benefit. First, the sharp-eyed bird needs to silence noisy companions who might inadvertently summon the predator closer. Second, if the flock needs to flee together, being the first to fly makes you an isolated target. Better to ensure everyone moves at once. Even the spectacular jumping of Thompson's gazelles serves a selfish purpose. Those high leaps advertise to predators, "I'm too fit and healthy to catch. Pick someone else instead." From bird flocks to insect swarms, group living offers each participant advantages they couldn't get alone, makes human beings unique. The answer is culture, ideas, customs, and technologies that evolve and spread between minds. Like genes, these units of imitation replicate, mutate, and compete for survival. A new replicator has emerged on this planet, the meme. Tunes, catchphrases, and scientific concepts all leap from brain to brain through imitation. Some ideas thrive simply because they are appealing or memorable. Religious beliefs, for example, have spread widely due to their psychological comfort. Unlike genes, memes can be consciously shaped. We possess foresight, allowing us to choose which ideas to accept. This gives us power, the ability to resist blind replication and cultivate genuine altruism. Have you ever heard the saying, "Nice guys finish last"? It suggests that kind individuals are destined to lose out. But what if there's a different way to look at it? This idea was explored through a fascinating concept called the prisoner's dilemma. Imagine a simple game where two players each choose to cooperate or defect. If both cooperate, they both win a decent amount. If both defect, they both lose. But if one cooperates and the other defects, the defector wins big while the cooperator loses everything. Logic says you should always defect. Yet, both players end up worse off. This is the dilemma. But the game changes dramatically when it's played repeatedly with the same person. Now, your choices have consequences. A political scientist named Robert Axelrod held a computer tournament where different strategies for this repeated game competed against each other. The winning strategy was the simplest of all, tit for tat. It starts by cooperating and then simply copies whatever the other player did last time. It's nice, never the first to defect. It's retaliatory, striking back if provoked. And it's forgiving, ready to cooperate again once the other player does. This discovery has profound implications. It shows that in a world where interactions are repeated, cooperation can thrive. Nice guys, in this technical sense, can indeed finish first. From vampire bats sharing blood to fish taking turns in parenting, nature is full of examples where this principle plays out. It suggests that in the long game of life, being nice, but not a pushover, is a winning strategy. An interesting tension sits at the heart of the selfish gene theory. The relationship between the gene and the individual body as agents of life. On one side, we have the image of genes as replicators, moving through time. On the other, individual bodies are clearly coherent, integrated machines with a unified purpose. A body doesn't look like a temporary federation of separate genetic agents. It has a single brain coordinating limbs and senses toward one end. How do we resolve this? The answer lies in understanding that natural selection doesn't work on genes directly. DNA is shielded from the world, invisible to selection. Genes succeed or fail based on their effects, what they build. These effects, called phenotypes, are usually thought of as body parts: eye color, claw strength, brain structure. But here's the expansion. A gene's effects can reach outside the body where it sits. Consider a caddis fly larva building a stone house underwater. That house is an adaptation shaped by selection. Genes influenced the behavior that chose those stones. So we can speak of genes for stone shape and size, just as we speak of genes for leg length. The house is an extended phenotype. This logic extends further. Parasitic flukes cause snails to grow thicker shells. Those thicker shells benefit the fluke's genes, not the snail's. The fluke reaches across bodies and manipulates snail biology. A beaver dam stretching across a stream is an extended phenotype of beaver genes. A cuckoo chick's gape, acting like a drug on foster parents, is an extended phenotype of cuckoo genes manipulating another creature's nervous system from a distance. What emerges is a view where genes sit at the center of radiating webs of influence. Their effects can land anywhere in the same body, in another body, in stone, in wood, in behavior. The individual organism we see is a temporary vehicle where many genes have gathered because sharing a common exit through sperm or egg aligns their interests. They cooperate to build a body that will carry them forward. This is the long reach of the gene, reaching out, shaping the world, building survival machines, and sometimes reaching far beyond the body's boundaries to leave its mark on everything from river valleys to the behavior of unwitting hosts.